behalf of Satilla, we really appreciate everybody that came out for this exciting announcement today. We're thrilled that you're here. I'll turn it over to Mr. Reyes.
All right, like Jim said, we certainly appreciate everybody that's come out to be with us today. I'm Romeo Reyes, and I'm the president and CEO of Satilla REMC. And before we get started, I'd just like to, I want to start us off with a prayer, and then we're going to say the pledge. So if y'all will bow your heads with me, we'll go ahead and go to prayer. Our kind and gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, as we approach your throne again this morning, God, we do so with just an humble and a thankful heart, God. We thank you for this beautiful day that you've given us, Lord, and we thank you for all those that have come this way, Lord, to help us celebrate this occasion, God. We thank you for the blessings that you've given us to be able to go in this direction, Lord. Again, we thank you for those that have made it this way. We thank you for the safe travels that you've given them. And Lord, when we end up this event today, Lord, and everybody goes their way, we do ask that you just continue to put a protective shield around each and every one of them as they travel back to their homes, Lord. And just keep them safe, Lord. And just continue to be with this company, lead, guide, and direct our steps, and that everything we say and that everything we do, Lord, we'll be careful to give you the honor and the glory for it all. For us in Jesus' sweet and precious name we pray. Amen. I will stand and say the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You can be seated. I'd just like to take a moment to recognize some of our speakers that will be here with us today that you'll hear from a little bit later in the program. We have Senator Tyler Harper from District 7. Appreciate Tyler being here. Representative Stephen Meeks may be on his way. Hopefully he'll be able to make it. Commissioner Jason Shaw of the Georgia Public Service Commission. Commissioner Lauren Bubba McDonald from the Georgia Public Service Commission. And Mr. Jonathan Chambers, who is a partner with Conexon. Like I said, each of these will be speaking a little bit later in our program. In addition to our speakers, I'd also like to welcome Mr. Drew Young, who is with Senator Warnock's office. Appreciate him being here. Austin Stacy is a regional representative for Congressman Rick Allen. All of our local and regional elected officials, all of the representatives for our educational institutions, all of the representatives for our economic and industrial development authorities, the members of the press, and all the other friends of Satilla that were able to make it out here to be with us today. Once again, we do thank you all for being here today to help us celebrate this momentous occasion. In 1937, a group of forward-looking individuals recognized that there was a need for electric service to be extended out into the rural areas of southeast Georgia. And because of that vision, Satilla REMC was born. Since that time, about 84 years ago, Satilla's mission has been to be recognized as a company that has the power to meet the changing needs and the demands of our members by providing providing superior energy and non-energy related services and products. We're guided by the 7 cooperative principles: voluntary and open membership, democratic, member control, members' economic participation, autonomy and independence, education, training and information, cooperation among cooperatives, concern for community. And guided by these 7 principles, we strive every day to accomplish our mission. Much like those rural electric pioneers back in the 1930s, Satilla's board of directors found themselves faced with the reality that once again the citizens of rural southeast Georgia were faced with a desperate need for service. Only this time it wasn't for access to electric service, it was for access to high-speed internet. The advancements of technology over the last 10 years have rapidly made access to high-speed internet an essential service. The ability to get online can significantly impact education, healthcare, and economic development in an area. And as a result, those communities who are unable to secure high-speed internet are finding themselves being left behind. Recalling the 7th of those cooperative principles, concern for community, Satilla's board of directors determined that this situation was unacceptable. And motivated by their mission to meet the needs of the members, the board was committed to a vision to be a part of the solution. And that brings us to the reason that we're here today. On behalf of Satilla's board of directors, it is my pleasure to announce that Satilla Rural Electric Membership Corporation will be partnering with Conexon Connect on a fiber optic project that will help to bridge the digital divide that exists in our service territory. The end result of this partnership will ensure that every member, every house, every business that receives electric service from Satilla Rural Electric will also have access to high-speed internet and the other associated products and services. 4 years ago, Satilla's stance on broadband was, well, we'll let the other guys do it because we're in the electric business. However, over the last few years, and as the true impact of the digital divide in rural America has been brought to light, it became clear to us that we could no longer just stand by idly on the sidelines and wait for somebody else to meet the needs of our members. And so began our journey. And as we traveled down the path evaluating the options that were available to us, we were introduced to Jonathan Chambers and Randy Clint and the team at Conexon. And through our research, we discovered that Conexon had been very successful working exclusively with cooperatives to bring broadband and high-speed internet solutions to rural America. And after working with Conexon for a period of time, the management team of Satilla EMC realized that this was the company that we needed to partner with. Now, our experience of working with Conexon has been a great one. Jonathan and his team have really been working hard and we're ready and willing to help us develop a customized solution that would be in the best interest of our members. And just to give you an idea of the scope of the project that we come up with, or that we will be pursuing, the business model involves Satilla owning 100% of the fiber network and leasing the capacity to Conexon Connect, who will be the internet service provider. Between Satilla EMC and Conexon Connect, the combined investment in this project will be approximately $150 million. The project will include construction of about 6,000 miles of world-class fiber-to-the-home network. Once completed, Conexon Connect will be able to offer gigabit service, symmetrical gigabit service, to each and every one of our members. There will be approximately 57,000 homes and businesses throughout our service territory who will have access to these services. And our goal is to have the first of those members signed up and receiving service by the first quarter of 2022. And we're excited about our partnership with Conexon, and we're excited about what opportunities it's going to bring to our members. Our vision for bridging the digital divide has been supported by our state and local leaders, and because they are also equally invested in the future of our region. And we're blessed to have several of those leaders with us here today, and I'd like to give them an opportunity to come up and to share some comments with you this morning. So at this time, I'm going to turn the podium over to Commissioner Jason Shaw and Commissioner Bubba McDonald from the Georgia Public Service Commission. Gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Good morning. Good morning. It's good to be with y'all. It's good to be in Alma and Bacon County. I'm Jason Shaw. I had a less distance to travel than my colleague, Bubba McDonald, who I affectionately call Uncle Bubba, even though we're really not related, Wiley. We don't have that kind of build that his grandson Wiley has in our family, but Wiley, good to have you down here. He is quite a stud. He just graduated from college, #2 wrestler in the state, football all-star. Quite a man, and I know your grandfather is obviously very, very proud of both of you boys. But this is a great day to be here. I say that from a personal standpoint because I'm just like everybody here. I live in rural Georgia. I'm a member of 2 EMCs. I farm in Cockwood and Slash Pine territories. I served in the House and was fortunate to get to work with these folks at Satilla and had one of your counties in my old House district. But you know, it's personal to me just because I'm one of those folks, just like many, who I have young kids, and we don't have broadband at our home out on the farm either. So I think this makes 16 EMCs so far in the last year who have either directly entered the broadband marketplace or established partnerships with folks like Conexon. And what, Heather, this is the 4th Conexon partnership, or 4th or 5th so far? 6th. So I was in Dooley County just recently at another one of these announcements. And what's happening here is really transformative from the standpoint of, just like you mentioned in 1937 when y'all entered the electric marketplace and took advantage of opportunities on the federal level with what was happening with rural electrification. Well, this is that issue today. This is just as important. You know, broadband was always, just like Matt can tell you, I mean, he's in economic development. Used to, it was an economic development tool. You had to have broadband in town in order to get industries, right? Well, now it's so much more than that because it's truly a quality of life issue, just like rural electrification was in the 30s. Our kids that live in rural Georgia, whether they live down on the dirt road in the middle of nowhere, that last mile, so to speak, like I live, or if they live in town, or if they live in Atlanta or wherever, everybody needs broadband. And they don't just need internet like I've got. We need fast internet, lightning speed internet like Conexon and Satilla EMC is going to bring to this 9-county service area over the next 5 years. It really is transformative. So I can't tell you how excited we are to be here. And on behalf of all of my colleagues and Commissioner McDonald and I, we just want to kind of tell you a little bit about what's been happening behind the scenes with the way we've been working hand in hand with Georgia EMC and all the EMCs. Senator Harper was instrumental in a couple of these measures where they've allowed the EMCs to get into the broadband market. That was in 2019. And then this just in 2020 during that crazy pandemic session they had is when they decided to put us in charge of dealing with the pole attachment fee issue that is directly involved in broadband. So for the most part, you know, we at the PSC we don't regulate broadband per se, but what the legislature did allowed us to get more involved and to work even closer with the EMCs. And I'm here to tell you that was a very tough case that we decided in last December. And the EMCs came to the table on day one. That was a 5-month case. It was very, very difficult. The EMCs came to the table and they offered, they put skin in the game. They're the ones that brought the idea of the $1 deal. What I mean by that is now, after we made that decision, any EMC will offer that light pole for $1. So that's like their actual cost is $30-something. So they're putting skin in the game. They're saying if it's an unserved area where there's no broadband now, any broadband provider, whether it's Conexon or whoever, can come out there and attach their fiber line to their pole for $1. Now that is skin in the game, folks, and that's what EMCs have done. And this is $500 million already since then that's been invested directly from EMCs and their members and their board members to broadband in these communities. It's you think about that. Then you got the FCC money coming down, and these folks from Conexon are directly involved in that, and you'll learn more about Jonathan's background there and what he brings to the table. But $326 million came to Georgia through this RDOF FCC money already. 92 million of that already has been directly impacted through EMCs in the state, nonprofit EMCs that are successful in that. And that's just the tip, y'all. This is just the start. So what we're doing here today is we're celebrating. And what's exciting about it is this same thing is going on in other parts of the state as well. So, but what your EMC and what y'all are doing and your board, the decision to invest is truly transformative for the families and the members. And I know that you're getting outside of your comfort zone a little bit because y'all are in the electric business, okay? but you're taking a chance on something that's going to directly improve the quality of life on every single person in this 9-county area that's an EMC customer. And if you look at that map, that's most of those counties. So I just, it really is. I'm just so excited to be here. I'm ready for maybe my 2 EMCs, Colquitt and EMC, to do and Slash Pine to do the same thing maybe. But at this time, I'd like to also ask my colleague that most people know, he's kind of a household name in Georgia politics, Bubba McDonald. When I was a freshman at the University of Georgia is when he ran for governor. So, and that's when I met his son Lauren, Wiley's dad back then. So I've known this family for many, many years. And when Governor Deal appointed me to the PSC, and then y'all thankfully helped me get reelected last year, it was an honor for me to get a chance to work with Bubba McDonald. What this man has done over his career, and I had the opportunity to pick him up at the Alma-Bacon County Airport today in his puddle jumper, and I had my fingers crossed the whole time. I'm gonna tell on you, he's 82 years old, and he's coming in here with this thing. It's a step up from a ultra glider, or ultralight. But you made it, and at this time, I'm gonna turn it over to Commissioner Bubba McDonald.
Well, there's not much left for me to do. Jason's covered the waterfront. There are a couple of things that I do want to remind those of you that did. I knew there was something going on here because when we landed, Jason, and we walked out of the airplane, so that's a good landing is when you walk away from it. But I'm parked kind of behind some of those big turbojets and jets out there, so when y'all fire those things up, don't blow me down the runway, please. And just be real careful when you do that. But other than that, he stole my thunder on my grandson. I got my grandson, he's just gotten home, just graduated from high school, the McCauley School in Chattanooga last Sunday a week ago, and got him to come with me down here today. One thing that Jason didn't cover that makes a grandfather proud all the time, he's a young man of faith, and he wants to serve this country. He'll be going to the Citadel this fall, and make Grandpa very proud. Very proud. Well, my text this morning is going to be taken from the book of Bubba, chapter 1, verses 1. He who did not tooteth his own horn, the same shall remain in the state of untootedness. It is an honor and a pleasure to serve you on the Georgia Public Service Commission. And I can truly say, without any doubt, that my reelection on January the 5th, when Georgia unseated 2 United States senators, and I was the caboose on that big double-engine train and survived. But my survival was because of the EMCs of Georgia and others. I never in the campaign talked about my opponent, never called his name. The only thing I said my opponent's party endorses the Green New Deal. And the Green New Deal will destroy the energy independence of this nation. And folks, we're kind of headed in that direction a little bit right now, but we're going to recover before that's over. So I thank you and the people of Georgia for the opportunity to continue to serve on the Georgia Public Service Commission for several reasons. Number one, I said during the campaign, whether I was on the stage with 20,000 plus people at a Trump rally or with former Governor Sonny Perdue, Secretary of Agriculture, and Gary Black at a Oglethorpe County cattle barn with 12, 15 people there, I said, I invite the libertarians, the independents, and the thinking Democrats to stay with what America knows and knows best. That's all I ever said. That's all I ever said, just like this. The reason at age 82 that I wanted to stay on the Public Service Commission, because I wanted to finish Plant Vogtle. Plant Vogtle clean, reliable, and affordable energy will serve Georgia for the next 80-plus years. And Georgia, because of EMCs and our investor-owned utility and our municipal-owned utilities, we have the diversification of energy. We're not a California. We don't have rolling brownouts and blackouts. We're not a Texas that unfortunately, just tried to focus mainly on renewable totally. You see what happened. We have a diversification in Georgia. We have coal. We're discontinuing several coal plants over the next few years, but I personally do not want to get rid of all our coal plants. They've been our base load generation. You can inventory coal. You can't inventory solar. Batteries will come, and they're coming. As I flew down today and looked at those solar fields in South Georgia, it was amazing what's happening. All market driven, no state subsidies, and no upward pressure on our ratepayers. Market driven, that's what America's about. That's what it's about. There's an advertisement on TV that says, we got to meet. We got to meet. Well, the EMCs have the poles. And the poles are going to be what's going to bring the broadband to your house and to the houses all over Georgia. And it's been a pleasure to be a part of the Public Service Commission that is an independent and conservative voice on the Public Service Commission, to work with our General Assembly, to work with our EMC leadership, boards, and people, consumers, and to work with our investor-owned utility to make sure that Georgia continues to have affordable, clean, and reliable energy over the next few years. I'm always available, even though we do not rate regulate EMCs, because you're a partner with those that we do regulate, because your concerns are my concerns, and so therefore that, I work for you too. I strongly work for you. And my door's open. Jason, it's a pleasure to work with this guy right. He's taught me how to, coming up. I live just right, two little gorge up there. And Jason, I've been down to Jason's home, and sitting out there at the little pond. And I've gotten kind of pretty good at doing those nets a little bit. But you learn a lot from people. I learned a lot from my friends over 20 years in the State House of Representatives that I still see and call on today, those that are still with us. And EMCs were, I was raised at Jackson EMC, I was raised under the footprint of Jackson EMC. And it's always been close to my heart, just like Satilla would be and will be and is going to be and always will be. So our door's open. Thank you so much. It's my honor, really, to be here with you and watch this momentous occasion, Romeo, to take place. It is a footprint forward. Thank you.
Well, good morning. It's good to be with all of you today, and it's good to join a couple of my good friends and for this very exciting announcement that we have today, and an exciting opportunity for South Georgia and Southeast Georgia. And I just want to start off by thanking Romeo and your team and the board of directors here at Satilla EMC for the vision that you have and the willingness to take this step and this investment. I know this is a big decision for you, and it has been, and it has been for a lot of our EMCs across the state. I just want to tell you thank you publicly, and appreciate your vision and your investment in making this a reality here in South Georgia. To Conexon, thank you for your partnerships that you've made and the work that you're doing across the state and ensuring and getting our state digitally connected. I think the Georgia EMC team who's here, I want to thank them for their work. They could probably tell you better than anyone, and Romeo as well. It's taken a lot to get here. It's taken a lot of work to get here, and I think Bubba and Jason would agree with that. This has been an issue. I've served in the General Assembly now for 9 years. I think this has been an issue we've been working on for the last 8.5. So pretty much the entire time I have had the honor of representing Alma-Bacon County and the other 9 counties across this South Georgia that I get the pleasure of representing in the Georgia State Senate. This has been an issue we have been working on consistently. And finally, to be able to stand before you with the fruit of the labor that we have been investing in and the time that we've been investing in, and to have this awesome announcement today here in South Georgia, I think brings it full circle. We still have a long ways to go. This isn't the end. There's still a lot more to do, and there's still a lot more to work on, but I can promise you that you have our commitment in doing that. It's good to see Jason Shaw and Bubba McDonald with us today. Thank you for coming down. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for your strong voice on the Public Service Commission. I know y'all have had a lot of tough votes over the last couple of years, but I think that the things that you have done in ensuring that Georgia has a bright energy future, and especially now that y'all are kind of involved in the broadband business a little bit over there too, I appreciate the work you've done in that regard and working with the General Assembly. So thank you all for that, and look forward to working with you going forward. But I don't think it's any doubt that this has been a priority of the Georgia General Assembly. This past session, we put $30 million into broadband alone in the state budget that will be used to help deploy broadband throughout the state. We're continuing to find ways to get rid of those barriers and get those things out of the way to allow private investment and allow the private industry to be able to deploy broadband. I think this is a perfect example of what we have done in the General Assembly to allow that to take place. Senate Bill 2 is where all of this started, where the General Assembly allowed electric membership co-ops to get into the business of broadband across the state of Georgia. And because of that, I think we're approaching, I think 6, is that what you said? 16 announcements of 16 EMCs across the state who are investing in rural broadband and bringing that service to their customers around Georgia. And I think if we learned anything from COVID-19, it is the fact that the disparity of broadband is vast in our state. I think we learned that in regards to education. We learned that in regards to being able to operate a business from home. And we learned that in regards to our ability to further economic development in the rural communities across Georgia. And I think this is an awesome point to where we start from and we stand from and pushing forward and getting rid of those disparities. Because in Georgia, it's my goal, in representing rural Georgia especially, that regardless of the zip code that you're from, I want every Georgian to have the same opportunities that every other Georgian has, regardless of where you live in our state. That is our goal, and that will continue to be our goal, and we're going to focus on that and get that done. And this announcement today gets us one step closer to that realization, and we're going to continue to push for that. I think it can't be said, you can't stand here and talk about broadband expansion without talking about our state's #1 industry, which is agriculture. I think in rural Georgia, you know, that's our backbone in our part of the state, agriculture. And agriculture today is more of a global market than it ever has been. If you do not have access to reliable internet service and you're in a farming environment, it is hard for you to get your crops to market. And more so today, those in the agriculture industry are looking for new ways to find a way to make a living, so to speak, to expand their portfolios. And the only way that they can expand their portfolio if they have access to that business market. And the way that they have access to that business market is through reliable internet service and through reliable broadband. And I think Romeo and your team and all the other EMCs across the state who are making this a priority. And this is just a great announcement. 6,000 miles of fiber, 57,000 homes that we're going to be connecting, over 9 counties, $150 million investment in 4 to 5 years. That is just great news. Romeo, again, thank you to your team. Congratulations to your team. I look forward to working with y'all going forward, and all the other local leaders here, our economic development teams that are all here, and making sure that we continue to expand these opportunities in our rural communities and give folks the best places to live, work, and raise their families, which I believe is in the state of Georgia, and I more so believe that that is in rural Georgia. And I don't know about you, but I kind of like living in the middle of nowhere. And I really enjoy the fact that I do live in the middle of nowhere. But just because I decide to live where I live doesn't mean that I shouldn't have the same access or the same benefits or the same ability to be able to do some things that somebody else may do if they live in downtown Atlanta, Georgia. And that's our goal. That's what we're working on. That's what we're going to do. And that's part of this investment. And that's why this investment is so important. Thank you all. God bless all of you. I look forward to continuing to work with you as we go forward. It's been a pleasure to represent Alma-Bacon County in the state Senate. I look forward to doing so. Thank you very much for giving me that opportunity. God bless each of you. Thank you very much.
Hey, good morning. It's great to be with everybody. My name's Jonathan Chambers. I'm joined here today by my business partner, Randy Clint, and some other folks from Conexon. If you see them around, say hi. John and Abby and Cindy, and there's a few of us here, and you'll see more of us in the months and years to come. And I'll tell you what struck me this morning, because this would always strike a fellow. There's nothing quite like seeing the face of a proud father or a proud grandfather. Your face just lit up when you spoke about your grandson. So I want to tell a story about my kids, because I'm a proud father, my two boys. It's an internet story. A few years ago, and don't hold this against me, but I have had fiber to my home for 20 years. Because I live just outside of Washington, D.C., and Verizon, for political reasons, built around Washington, D.C. in the early days of building fiber networks. And a few years ago, I guess it must have been a truck drove by and clipped the fiber that ran across the road to my house and cut the fiber, which meant internet went out in the house. So we all got up and what happened? Electricity's still working, so I walked up the driveway and I saw laying across the driveway this cut fiber line. And I called Verizon, and they came out and they said they'd come out in a few hours to fix it, and they did. But since my boys then didn't have anything to do, no video games to play, no TV to watch, I decided it was a good day for a lesson. So first thing, I showed them what fiber optic cable looked like, at least when you cut it. You could see the fiber strands in this cut fiber cable. And then I walked them down the road. I showed them where the fiber had been attached to the pole, where it had been cut. I walked them down the road to the pole that was at the corner of our property. Showed them where the fiber line came down. Showed them where Verizon had barely buried it in my yard. It was sticking up and all over the place. Showed them the side of the house where there's a plastic box called the network interface device. Showed them where the fiber runs inside the house. Showed them the optical network terminal inside the house and the Wi-Fi, and explained to them how that all worked. And since Verizon still hadn't shown up to fix the fiber, I loaded them into the car and I drove down the road. I showed them where there's a Verizon central office, where there's some electronics equipment. Didn't go in the building, of course. And then since we still had time to kill, we took a drive out into the country near Ashburn, Virginia, where there's an internet exchange point. One of the major internet exchange points in the entire world. More internet traffic comes in and out of this one building in Ashburn, Virginia than anywhere in the world. And I explained to them what was inside that building. Lots of tubes, lots of wires, lots of connectivity between different kinds of content providers and internet service providers, but mostly what's inside that building is backup generators, air conditioning units, and again, miles and miles and miles of fiber optic cable. Now, I went through all of this with my sons for a couple of reasons, not really to teach them about what I do for a living. I've been building internet networks for almost 30 years now. Mostly, I recognize that my boys have grown up in the internet era, and they live a lot in a virtual world. Laptops and iPads in school, PlayStations and streaming video, communicating with their friends on you know, not you know, just text and chat and FaceTime. A lot of what they do is virtual. To them, a lot of the internet is a virtual thing, almost magical. When you think of what you can do on the internet, it does seem like magic even today, to be able to access information from almost anywhere in the world, to communicate almost anywhere in the world, to do so instantaneously. It's like magic. I didn't want them to think of it as magic, though. I wanted my boys to understand that their virtual world was built by men and women, that it was a physical world, that the internet, my world of the internet, is poles and wires and glass, steel strand and fiber optic cable and generators and air conditioning units. It's all physical, and it was built by somebody. It's not all software. It's tangible, it's physical, and men and women had to build it. Now, Romeo mentioned, and people I have worked on the digital divide for years and years. And over the past 5, 6 years, you've heard a lot of solutions to the digital divide that also seem somewhat magical, or at least fanciful. Google had this program that they've since shut down, that they would put balloons up. They called it Project Loon. They would put balloons up and have radio equipments on their balloons, and you could access the internet that way. Amazon had this drone program. They were going to fly drones around in circles. Also, with radio equipment, you could access the internet with drones. AT&T announced a few years ago that they would run radio waves across electric lines. I haven't heard about that much in the last few years. I'm sure you've read about 5G, the 5th generation of mobile technology. When I first got into the business, it was in the 1G days. There will be a 6th generation, 6G, before the year's out, I'm sure, and a 7G and an 8G, and none of that is going to deliver internet to rural America. Everything people have talked about year after year about closing the digital divide or bringing internet to rural America has been like magic, and just like magic, it doesn't withstand the light of day. There's only one way to get internet to rural America, and that's what Romeo and the board of Satilla EMC have voted to do, and we're announcing today, which is to build it yourselves. It's finally occurred to an awful lot of people who live in rural America that no one else is coming to help you. Not AT&T, not Windstream, not Comcast or Cox, not Google or Amazon. If you want to build the internet, you build it yourself. And that is a lot like the 1930s. Because when the investor-owned utilities wouldn't build electric lines in an area like this, the folks who lived here banded together. They built a network themselves. That's exactly what we're talking about doing here. There's no magic to it. It's just hard work. That's really what we're here to offer you. Our company, together with Satilla EMC, we're willing to work hard. We're going to build 5,000 to 6,000 miles of fiber. We're going to serve every single member of the co-op. We're going to build a network the co-op way. It will be a world-class network. As good an internet service as you can get anywhere in the world will be available here. It'll be available to 100% of the members of Satilla EMC at the same prices. Everyone will be treated the same. Again, the co-op way, a network that will be locally owned. Because as many times as I've talked to people around the country and seen the way government spends money, it always comes back to me to the same thing. You're in the best hands when you're in your own hands and the hands of your neighbors. You're going to build a network, you should own that network. You should serve yourselves. You should serve your members. That's what we're going to do here. This is the 5th, 6th, 7th of these kinds of projects we've announced in the last few months. And when I think of how the internet of tomorrow is going to be built for my kids, for your grandkids, it's going to be built this way. Built by people who are willing to roll up their sleeves, do the hard work, serve themselves. That's really all we have to offer you. There is redemption in hard work. We offer you hard work, work together. We're ready to get to work, and we're glad to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan. Well, as you can see from the comments that were made here today, we're all excited about our path forward, and we're excited about the opportunities it's going to provide for our members. And to be completely honest, some of us are anxious about it as well, because it is something we've not done before, and it's a project of pretty good magnitude. But we're confident that working with Conexon, that this project is going to be very successful, and that our members are going to benefit from it, and that we will be able to accomplish our mission of meeting the needs of our members as we go forward. This concludes the prepared comments that we have for you today. And once again, I just want to thank each of you for being so generous with your time and coming and being with us today to celebrate this occasion. Once we adjourn, some members of my staff and I and Jonathan and representatives of Conexon will be available in the back of the room. So we just encourage you all to stay around with us, enjoy the refreshments, and we'll be available to answer any questions that you may have about our project or about anything going forward. And just once again, we thank you all for being here. Thank you very much.